James?
Yeah.
Can you share your screen sometime? Can you test sharing your screen?
Share the screen, huh?
Yeah.
1 minute. Oh, sorry. Are you able to hear now? Hello? Hello? Just go on to the side. Ranjan. Ranjan. Hello, can you hear me?
Sir, I think Ranjan sir is disconnected at the moment. He should be back in some time.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So I think I have lost connection. Maybe you're able to share the screen. No problem, no?
Who? For me?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I have not taken any document to share it. No?
Okay, correct. All right. Then I
Okay.
ask. Kritika.
You have to ask Kritika. She is presenting.
Yes, yes, sure.
So she has to open the document, then if she can present easily.
Yeah.
Keep the file open and keep it.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We can see.
Yeah, now you can see. You can see.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We can see it, ma'am. It's okay.
Good morning to all. We are waiting for participants to join. In next 10 minutes, we will start the session.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Shall we start?
Yes. Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah.
Good morning to all.
Good morning.
Knowing others is intelligence. Knowing yourself is true wisdom. Mastering others is strength. Mastering yourself is true power. A warm welcome to all on behalf of the Department of Commerce and Management, AMC College, for today's webinar on the topic Know Thyself. As we all know, the pandemic situation caused due to COVID-19 across the globe has enforced us to get the benefits of webinar. Webinar plays a key role in helping us to move with the information on the current trends by connecting the people from various parts of the world. Before we start with the webinar, to the notice of the participants, any questions related to the topic, kindly drop it in the Q&A box. Feedback form will be mailed to your registered mail IDs in 24 hours after this webinar, and after the submission of the feedback form, e-certificate will be issued. I kindly request all the participants to use the chat box only for the technical discussion. It's my great honor and pleasure to introduce our principal, Dr. Prakash Duvari sir, who has done his MSc, PhD from Devi Ahalya University, Indore, specialized in plant biotechnology. He has been credited with many national and international publications and also many awards during his portfolio. He has been associated with AMC College from 2 decades and has been the backbone in the development of the college. Now I request our Honorable Principal Dr. Prakash Duvari sir, Administrative Management College, to address the webinar. Over to you, sir.
Good morning. Madam, am I audible? Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning to one and all present and the respected Director of Management Department, all the faculty members and students. Once again, good morning. Present the situation, the COVID-19, the pandemic is an unexpected situation, unforeseen situation, which has come as a blow, as a sudden event worldwide. So this is a turbulence, a kind of disaster, a natural calamity. All of us are facing, and we are in that particular phase. Yes, for the last 4 months, we have been into a difficult situation. The governments are sincerely trying to separate the situation, and the medical department, the paramedical staff, and many of the employees in the government sector are sincerely striving hard to separate the things. With lockdowns and unlockdowns, yes, certainly we are able to breathe a little bit with a lot of precautionary measures have been suggested by Government of India. That is one part of the story. The second part, if you see, the student mentality, the students, till the present situation, till end of say February or March 15th, they were coming to colleges, attending classes, interacting with each other and attending all kinds of programs, the seminars, the training programs, cultural and sports events. That has been a routine for them till 15th of March. And also they were participating in their birthday parties, their celebrations. It's a great event for all of them. But suddenly with COVID-19 situation, they're confined to their houses, focusing on online education, online mode of training. So we are in the phase of the transition from conventional classroom teaching to the online mode of teaching, which is the order of the day. So other side, the lot of information is available through media, through social media, on TV and all that, about COVID-19, worldwide what is happening. So in this situation, what is the mindset of the students who are sitting inside their house, just confined to 4 walls? What is the mentality of these students? If you analyze that part, a kind of a fear, depression, no clarity about their academics, their examinations, their internal assessments, then how they will go to the next year, what is the mode of evaluation for the examinations. All these things are there in the minds of students, not only in the minds of students, also in the minds of principals and faculty members and all the academicians. So in the present situation, how to balance this situation? Like you're into a kind of fear, a kind of depression, a kind of uncertainty. So in the present situation, what we should do? So here comes a kind of meditation, a kind of breathing techniques, a kind of relaxing the mind, a kind of communicating with the students. But these are the things what we should focus. There is a hairline difference between the life and death. That hairline difference is the breath. If you inhale, the air enters inside the lungs, oxygen is accumulated into the blood, and oxygenated blood flows throughout the body to all the parts and gives oxygenated blood. That is the physiological and biochemical aspect which is happening in the lungs. But there are two aspects here. One is the physical, the external. The other one is the mental, the physiological, the psychological, thoughtfulness and emotional aspect of the mind. So balancing these two activities is the order of the day, and the today's webinar, which we are focusing, is on this aspect. So in the present situation, what we should do? First, fixing our goals and destination is most important. Harnessing our thoughts and feelings, most important. Softening and removing our mindset is most important aspect. Develop faith, trust, and belief in ourselves, most important aspect. Loosening the ego and preparing the mind and accept to the present situation, the meditation helps. To achieve this, we have to transcend the barriers of time and space. Befriending time through discipline, practicing the technique of cosmic breath, activating our willpower, strengthening our power of resolution, and as I myself, as a practitioner of Sudarshana Kriya, the breathing technique which I learned from Art of Living, one is pranayama, the other one is Bastrika, the third one is rhythmic way of breathing techniques. So with this, we can balance our mind, body. A healthy mind is healthy body. Healthy body, it reflects healthy mind. It is interconnected. So Kritika madam is recently did a course in Bodhi Institute where she could teach all of us certain techniques how to balance the life, the professional life and personal life. And all of us should learn from her. So best of luck to all of you. And thank you very much. Over to the technical team.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your valuable words. It's my great privilege and honor to introduce our HOD, Dr. James Thomas, sir. Sir has contributed a lot to the Department of Commerce and Management at AMC College. He has been the driving force for all the students and faculties by constantly encouraging them to fulfill their dreams. Now, I request Dr. James Thomas, sir, HOD, Department of Commerce and Management, Administrative Management College, to share few words on the topic. Over to you, sir.
Hello. Good morning to you all. Yes. Can you hear me? Can you hear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. Good morning. I would like to invite Professor Kritika to talk on emotional intelligence, as today we are going through a phase of difficulties. And I hope these sessions would be very fruitful to all the participants. And I wish her all the success. Thank you. Over to Ashwini.
Thank you, sir. Now let me introduce our guest speaker, Ms. Kritika Raj. Ms. Kritika Raj is an alumni of AMC Engineering College. Ma'am worked as a HR. She was associated with Siemens, where she carried out a research on psychological contract. Ma'am was in leadership hiring with Vodafone, also with HP Enterprise. And now she is associated with AMC, teaching general management and human resource management. To build upon her passion of psychology, she is currently pursuing a course in psychology in association with Madras University. Ma'am is also a certified trainer from Bodhi Training Solutions. Now I request our guest speaker, Ms. Kritika Raj, to go ahead with her presentation. Ma'am, over to you.
All right. Good morning, all. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, madam. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, great. Okay, a very good morning to all of you. I would like to thank our principal and our HOD James Thomas sir for giving a beautiful introduction of the topic which I would be continuing on. And I would also like to thank our management of AMC for giving me this opportunity to share the knowledge that I have gained in the ongoing research. So let's quickly jump into the session. Can you quickly tell me if you can see the screen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay, great. All right, okay. So let's quickly start off. I think the topic is already, our principal has given a very elaborate discussion about what it is going to be. And know thyself, what it actually means is, knowing ourselves, right? Know yourself is what it actually means. So what we're going to look into in this session is, we're going to utilize this lockdown period and, we're going to see how is it that we're going to harness our thoughts and emotions and make proper use of the time that we are having at this point of time. We're going to use all this time to just try and understand ourselves because that is the only certain thing at this point of time. So let's quickly jump in and we'll see what the session is about. So this session, we would be speaking about what is emotional intelligence. We would be understanding a few small concepts and facts about emotional intelligence and a few tools and techniques to, to help us understand or, to help us answer the $1 million question, which is who am I? And I think that is one question which everybody is asking. And, even when you start attending interviews, that's the first thing that comes to your head, right? Who am I? What am I doing? Or, the first thing the interviewer asks you is also, tell me about yourself, right? So your introduction, what kind of introduction you're going to give, or what is it that you understand about yourself is what we're going to, try and answer in this session. So we'll start off with what is emotional intelligence, just to understand what it actually is. So it's a type of social intelligence. What it speaks about is how we recognize and understand our emotions. It also speaks about how we recognize, understand, and not manipulate, but probably influence the other's thoughts, so that we are able to go ahead with what is it that we want. It's also going to speak about how is that we're going to harness our emotions and how is it we are going to direct it in the right path so as to attach it itself or line itself with the goals that we have as professionals or as personal individuals also. All right, so that is what emotional intelligence speaks about in general. There are a lot of terms which are there in the market, which is emotional quotient, emotional intelligence, and our emotional intelligent quotient. So all these are they all speak about the same thing. All right. So EQ or emotional quotient is how a person's ability to monitor his emotions are tested or they are measured. Okay, so similar to our IQ, right? IQ is something which we have heard over a lot of instances. So similar to our IQ, EQ is the fact. EQ is the test or the quotient which measures your emotional understanding of yourself and understanding of our surroundings. It's also called emotional intelligence quotient. Okay, who came up with these words? We have two psychologists who came up with these words. One is John Mayer and one is Peter Salovey. When they were doing a research, probably in the year 1990, when they were doing a lot of research, they coined the term emotional intelligence. So what they say is that emotional intelligence is monitoring our emotions, differentiating them, trying to understand what is a productive emotion or what is a positive emotion, trying to understand what is a negative emotion. And how is it that as an individual, we use this emotion to guide our thinking, to guide our thought process to guide our goal setting or any kind of action for that matter. All right. So this, although the term emotional intelligence came into being in 1990, it was popularized by another psychologist who's also an author named Daniel Goleman. So what he told is, he actually wrote a lot of books about emotional intelligence. He's done a lot of research about emotional intelligence. In the year 1995, he came up with this book called Emotional Intelligence, Why It Can Matter More Than IQ. Right? So he says a lot about emotional intelligence and why it is more important than your intelligence, or why it is more important than your cognitive abilities. All right. Now, right now, IQ is something, intelligent quotient is something which all of you have heard multiple times. You also have an understanding of what it actually is. So let's see what is the difference between EQ and IQ, or how are they different from each other. These are two different aspects. They are two separate entities. So EQ, as we already know, it deals with how you understand your emotions, manage them, and then how you direct them, so that you become a valuable member in the society. You also become valuable to yourself. IQ speaks about our cognitive abilities, our attention span, our reasoning abilities, our memory. So IQ is predominantly it speaks about our cognitive abilities, and EQ is something which speaks about our emotions. All right. Now, okay, let me go ahead and ask a quick question. All right, I think you can use the chat box to answer them. Which do you think is important, IQ or EQ? To be successful in life or to lead your daily life, what is more important? Can I quickly have one or two people replying? Okay, both, okay. 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 Great, great. Okay, great. So I think most of you are going with both. That is absolutely right. We need a combination of both, but to a large extent, EQ has a large impact on what is it that you are doing. It has more value, or it has more impact on your work on a day-to-day basis as compared to your IQ. All right. So let's see what our researchers, or what is it that the global research speaks about it. Right. So Daniel Goleman, he's told that in high performance labor markets, those of us with soft skills like discipline, drive, empathy, they're all very important, and this is what makes us stand away from the crowd. Right. There is a center of creative leadership which says that 75% of our careers are impacted by emotionally related themes, or emotional competency related themes. That again, when you say emotional competency related, are discipline or drive or empathy or anything which is related to, are aspects of how we manage stress, or aspects of how we manage uncertainty, how we adapt to change. All these aspects is what is going to make us last long in the industry that we are going to be working in. Yeah, that is what global research says. Great. So now you're all wondering, she's speaking so much about emotional quotient, she's speaking so much about emotional intelligence. Where am I going to use it? I know that if I am scoring well, I know that if I'm performing, if my numbers are good, then I'm going to be successful either way, right? So let's see, where is it that I am using where is it that you as individuals are going to be using your emotional intelligence? In actuality, we use it on a day-to-day basis, right? Even a decision of whether I'm going to log into this as an individual had a lot of emotional thought process, right? Had a lot of thought process which went in. That is also an aspect of emotional intelligence. So if to put it into words, where are the aspects that you use? We use it in our day-to-day communication, whether it is communicating with our friends or with our colleagues, or with anybody for that matter, family members, or even if you're going to a shop and the kind of communication that you're having with that person, everywhere your emotional intelligence is involved, right? Our service center calls that we do, that is also one of the aspects where your emotional intelligence is involved. Managing stress, we can't stress more about getting stressed, right? So how is it that we manage stress? The current situation where there is a lot of uncertainty. We don't know when the exams are going to happen. We don't know 2 weeks back, we didn't even know if the exams are going to happen or not, right? So this kind of uncertainty, the kind of amount of stress that we are having, how is the future going to be? What am I going to do? So all these aspects, how is it that I'm going to manage it in your exam hall? How are you going to manage the the stress that you're going to have. Utilizing the existing resources. So now, not as individuals, it's not necessary that whatever environment that I'm going to get into, or every environment that I'm in, it's not necessary that it has to be a conducive environment, right? It's not necessary that it has to match with my values, or not necessary it has to match with my likings. So how is it that whatever environment I am in, whatever situation I am in, how am I using the existing resources? How am I using the existing situation so as to, make myself more productive with whatever is existing, instead of just sitting and complaining about the uncertainty or anything that is not going to happen, anything which is external? How is it that I am using the situation or the resources that are existing with me? Dealing with change, dealing with failures, absolutely important. How is that I'm going to deal with change? Again, our pandemic situation, when 4 months back, when this started, all of us were taken aback. We didn't know what to do. I think most of us, we just sat quiet for 2 weeks because we didn't know what to do, right? Because we don't know if the lockdown was going to get extended, but we don't know if things were going to resume back to normal. We don't know if the numbers were going to go up. So we had no idea. So how is it that we are dealing with that kind of a change, that kind of emotional agility, where you are accepting the situation that is currently happening and then quickly getting back to yourself and understanding what is it that I can do at this current moment? Dealing with setbacks and failures, absolutely. All of us have gone through, a certain setbacks, maybe in personal life, maybe in professional life, anywhere. How is that I'm quickly bouncing back into my situation? How is that I'm quickly bouncing back into my track to understand what is it that I have to do, right? What am I learning out of that situation? Very important. Correct? So these are some of the aspects where you would be using emotional intelligence, which are being put into words, but in actuality, we use it on a daily basis. Okay, now let us understand what are the few elements of emotional intelligence. What is it that is, what are the few things that emotional intelligence caters to, right? So the first thing is self-awareness, and next is self-regulation. Self-awareness is again understanding ourselves. Self-regulation is where we are managing ourselves, whatever emotions that I am aware of. Once you are self-aware, what is the next thing that you do? How do I manage it, right? That is the next thing. Next is our self-motivation. How is it that I'm going to motivate myself? The next aspect is empathy. Now, these four are the key aspects of emotional intelligence, and they also contribute to the last element, which is the social skill, right? So how is it that we are going to use self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, and empathy to help us become a socially skilled person so as to form efficient relationships in the society or in the organization or in personal life, anywhere for that matter. Okay, great. Okay, so now we would be coming into an activity for which I would be requiring you guys to, okay, let me quickly stop sharing the screen. Great. So I would request you all to take a sheet of paper and divide it into 4 sections. Yeah, okay. So once this is done, this activity is called YFM activity. What YFM is, it means what's in it for me, right? That is what we're going to call the activity. So what you have to do is, in the sheet where you have divided all the sheet into 4 sections, name each column. Name the first column as activity. Name the second column as situations, the third column as reasons, and the fourth column as emotions. Okay, so what I want you to do is quickly take 1 minute, get into your head, and then try and think about 3 or 4 activities which are dominant in your head, which comes to your head immediately, right? Just write down 3 or 4 activities. What are the 3 or 4 activities that I do in a day? Can someone give me a quick thumbs up if you're done? Okay, cool. So once you've listed down the activities, what you're going to do is, great, sports, perfect, anything, whether it is your sports or, whether it is your, the video games that you guys play or your physical workout, hanging out with friends, speaking to friends on call, anything for that matter, anything that comes into your head, just list down 3 or 4 activities. We'll see where this goes towards the end of the activity. All right. Now, what you do is the second column, which is the situations, you try and write down in what situations am I doing these activities, right? So if I am doing, see for me, for example, I do a physical workout at the end of the day because I want all the energy or all the thoughts that I have built up on the entire day, I want to let it go. So that is the reason I do it at the end of the day. Some people do it in the beginning of the day because that is how they want to set their intentions. So that is a small example. You could say, I speak to my friends when I'm stressed or when I'm worried about something, I speak to my friends. So what kind of situations are you doing these kind of activities? Quickly go ahead and fill them as well. All right. Next is our reasons. Okay. Next is our reasons. Why do I do it? When I choose to play a game, or when I choose to speak to my friends, or when I choose to do a physical workout, or when I choose to binge watch Netflix, what is the reason that I do it? Right? Quickly write down what is the reason that I do this. After this, the emotions part, the emotions column, what you're going to write is, when I'm doing this activity or after the activity is completed, how do I feel? While I'm doing this activity, how am I feeling? Or after the completion of activity, how is it that I feel? Now comes the challenging part. I love watching Netflix, but when I'm watching, there are days where I have watched it for 3 or 4 hours continuous, right? I do it with an intention because I want to feel good. But at the end of 3-4 hours, do I actually feel good? I am not really sure about it, right? So this is the difficult part where you are trying to understand or trying to realize or trying to really understand what is the kind of emotion that is existing behind my actions. Okay, can I get a quick reply? Should I wait for you guys? Okay. All right. So now you can go ahead and add in any number of activities. You can go in and add in any number of situations that you face on a regular basis, right? There are people who do this on a regular basis. There are people who do it on, probably once a week. There are people who do it daily. Anything whichever is comfortable for you. All right. Now we'll try and look into what is it that we are trying to achieve out of this. Okay. I am hoping there has been some amount of clarity as to what is it that we are trying to do in this activity. Let's quickly try and understand what is it that we have observed. Before that, can I get a few reply? What is it that you guys have observed? Anyone or a few of you? Okay. Okay, great. Cool. So what we're doing in this activity, or what is it that we have to, what is it that we understand in this activity is, how many activities am I happy doing, or how many activities am I not happy doing, right? The happy emotions or the distressing emotions that are existing when I'm doing certain activities, right? Which is more dominant? If I am doing it at the end of the day or at the end of the week, what kind of emotions are dominant? Am I doing things which I'm really happy about, or am I doing a lot of things which I'm not really happy about? Correct. So that is what we are trying to understand and observe in this kind of activity. Okay, this is a simple activity of self-reflection, which goes a long way. It's a very simple activity, and it's also difficult because it's simple, right? So we are also trying to understand our triggers and what are the activities or what are the situations that motivate us, right? Now, for me, at the end of the day, when I'm really tired, that is when I would want to go ahead and work out. Some people, it is at the beginning of the day. So workout for some people is letting go of the day. Workout for some people is starting the day, right? So for some people, it's a source of motivation. For some people, it is something which triggers a lot of thought process, right? So what trigger speaks about is what are the kind of situations that is triggering the distressing emotions in my mind. Whether it is a situation, or whether it is an individual, or whether it is something which is happening in the external world that is actually triggering a lot of anxiety, or anything for that matter. What is it that is triggering a lot of distressing emotions, or what you guys call it as negative emotions? Throughout the session, we would not be calling it as negative emotions. We would be calling it as a distressing emotion. Okay. And also, when we are trying to map the emotions, if you can go back to the activity and the situation, you would try and understand where is this kind of emotion coming out of, right? So what we are doing is trying to map our emotions, trying to map our each activity, and trying to understand one by one where it is leading to. Clear? Cool. With all this awareness, with all these activities at the back of our head, let's jump into what are the elements. The first element of emotional intelligence, which is self-awareness. What does self-awareness speak about? Firstly, it is emotional awareness. Yes, understanding our own emotions. Self-assessment. I see a lot of management students here. We all have done our SWOT analysis for the company. But how many of us have actually done a SWOT analysis of ourselves? Right? So self-assessment is nothing but trying to understand our strengths, our weaknesses, and what are we good at, what am I bad at, what are the kind of opportunities that are existing which I can utilize in the future, and what are the areas that I will have to work on. So once we focus on emotional awareness, once we have an understanding of emotional awareness, and once we have an understanding of our own strengths and weaknesses, it automatically leads to self-confidence, right? When I know what I'm good at, when you guys know what you're good at, it's very easy for you to map it out and understand, your own strengths, and also to gain that kind of self-confidence and that kind of conviction that is existing. Okay. The second element, which is the self-regulation. Self-regulation again speaks about how are you going to manage your emotions, right? How is it that okay, I think someone's raised a hand. We would be dealing with the question and answer at the end of the session. All right, cool. So self-regulation again speaks about self-control. How do you control yourself, right? We have a lot of impulses, correct? We have a lot of impulses. In a day, there are a lot of impulses that we go through. How is it? We cannot act on every one of them. We go ahead and do that, then we are going to lose sight of what we actually are doing, correct? So how is it that I'm going to manage myself? How is it that I'm going to control myself? Trustworthiness, the kind of trust that people have towards you, the kind of, the belief that if I give a job to this particular person, how well is it going to go? Do I have to really worry about it, or am I going to be sure that this work is going to be done, right? So what kind of a person do you see yourself as, right? Next is adaptability and innovativeness. There is a beautiful term in neuroscience, which is called neuroplasticity. What it speaks about is our brain has the ability to mold itself. It has the ability to adapt itself every time it understands, or every time it receives a new information, right? So our brain, basically what it does is whenever a new information is fed into it, it quickly rewires it and it adapts to it, right? So our brain is already capable of adapting. Our brain is already capable of having an open aspect and receiving information, right? So what we are trying to do here in the session is to enable our brain to do that, right? Enable our brain to adapt to situations, and also not stop it from receiving a lot of information. Innovativeness, absolutely. Once you have the ability, or once you have the at the back of your head, when you have the aspect of having an open mind, and how is it that you're going to receive the information, then it's always very easy to go ahead and be more innovative and be more open-minded. Okay. The third element, which speaks about self-motivation. Self-motivation is something we have heard on a daily basis. As students, as employees, as individuals, motivation is something we hear on a daily basis. Correct? What self-motivation, again, there is something called as motivation on the inside, and there is something called as extrinsic motivation. Right? Extrinsic motivation is again our performance reviews, our marks, our exam results. All these are external motivations, right? Our rewards, or anything for that matter. But what is self-motivation? Intrinsic motivation. That is something which is concrete, right? Which is certain. I know for sure. I am not sure whether my faculty is going to give me a good review, or my faculty is going to give me a praise when I do something good. But I know if I know that I have done it well, then for sure I would be happy about the job, right? So how is it that I am motivating myself? I cannot always go looking for a motivation outside. How is it that I'm going to motivate myself? That is what we're going to look at in self-motivation. Again, there are a few aspects, which is the achievement drive. What is achievement drive? My drive to achieve something, right? Any individual's drive to achieve something, and how committed you are to your goal. This again basically speaks about goal setting, right? How is it that you are how is it that you are committed to yourself? To what extent are you committed? And how is it that, irrespective of facing a certain setbacks, how are you quickly getting back into it? And how are you going ahead with your, with your plan of action, anything for that matter, right? Readiness to act on opportunities. Again, our agility, how quickly are we identifying the opportunities which are existing, and how quickly are we utilizing it? Yeah. Resilience is again another word which we have heard. It's one of the buzzwords these days. Resilience is where you face a setback or you face a failure, and how quickly are you coming back into yourself, right? So we do it. These are all things which everybody does it on a daily basis. It's just that we are naming them right now. Okay, we are giving them a word to try and understand. Yeah. So that is what resilience speaks about. Okay, now coming into this part, the self-awareness tools. So what we're going to do is, we have understood what is self-motivation, we have understood what is self-management, and we have understood what is self-awareness. Okay, what we are going to discuss right now is a few techniques or a few tools which will help you to understand yourself, or a few tools that is going to help you, get that clarity in your mind. Okay, and all these are backed by research. Clear? The first one speaks about self-reflection. Yeah, self-reflection, again, having inner dialogues, speaking with yourself. Basically, try and sit quietly and try and speak with yourself. If you're not someone who's very verbal in nature, one more aspect what you can do is journaling. Journaling is where you write down whatever comes into your head. There are a lot of students who are very good at writing, and as students we are very good at writing, right? We write 16-mark questions for 3-4 pages. Correct. So we know how a 16-mark question flows as well, right? You start with the definition, and then you write the features, and then you write the importance, all these aspects. So we as students, we are already aware of how our writing process goes on. So with a similar aspect, when you sit with your thoughts, it's very easy to put it into writing, right? So it can be anything, your self-reflection or your inner dialogues. It can be any way. It can be writing, it can be speaking to someone, or it can be speaking into your phone and recording it, or any way you are good at expressing yourself. That is one of the very, very important and very easy, and it's also very, very effective. Okay, one more is again physical exercises and sports, where you are it's just you in the zone, right? How do all of us work out? We either put our earphones, we either listen to a book, or we either listen to a playlist that we already have, right? So when we are working out, what happens? We are lost in our own thoughts. We don't know what's happening around us. Or when we go jogging on the road, we don't know what's happening. We don't know who's passing by us. Absolutely nothing. We are in the zone, right? So how is it that during this time, how am I going to be, looking at my own thoughts, or how am I going to, what is going on in my head? Just try going into your head and understand what's going on in my head, right? That is one of the other ways. One more is adding a question at the end of each thought. Okay, so what this says is, on an average, we have, on an average, a human being has close to 50,000 thoughts in a day, right? Imagine having 50,000 thoughts in a day in your brain, right? Now, not necessary that we have to act upon all these thoughts, and it's absolutely not possible as well, right? But there are certain things which catches you, right? A few thoughts or a few emotions that catches you, which catches your attention. Now, what we can do is add a question mark at the end. A simple example is, I don't like this person. Put a question mark at the end and say, I don't like this person, really? Why? Right? I don't like this subject, or, I'm not feeling good right now. Put a question mark at the end and find out, why am I not feeling good? What is it that is making me not making me experience something which is very distressing or which is very uncomfortable. This is again what we're doing here. What we are doing when we add a question mark is we are questioning ourselves. Okay, we are trying to understand. Once you question yourselves and then once you get the answer, it always leads to something which is internal, right? It always leads to something else. When I don't like a person, probably I don't like that. I don't really have anything against that person, but it's just one attitude of that person which I don't like. Correct? But then we just generalize it saying, I don't really like that person. Correct? A lot of us, we don't like number subjects. We don't like mathematics. I don't like mathematics. What is the reason you don't like? Is it because there is a certain aspect of mathematics that you don't like, or there is certain things that you are not really able to do, and that is the reason you are not able to like? That is what we are trying to do with this particular aspect of questioning ourselves and questioning what we are thinking about. Okay. Mindfulness again, it's a meditation technique. It originated with meditation, but this is something everybody can do, sitting anywhere, your examination hall, your college, your workplace. You can sit and do it this anytime. Even if you're traveling in a public transport, not right now, it's not possible because there are no public transport, but in the future, or anytime in the future when you're riding or when you're driving, this is something you can absolutely do it right now. So I would request all of you to do this as I read. There is no need to close your eyes. There is no need to sit in a particular position. There is nothing. You just have to, as I read it out, just try and do it along with me. First thing what you do is notice 5 things that are there around you. It could be anything. It could be a pen, or it could be a sheet of paper. It could be, your study table. It could be the walls, the color of the walls, the size of the room, the shape of the window that is there in your room. Just focus on 5 things and just notice them. Just focus on those 5 things, nothing else. Right. Now, after this, the next thing what you do is you look at 4 things that you can touch around you. All right. Notice 4 things that you can touch around you. Try touching and feeling them, whether it is your accessories, your watch, your glasses, or your, the texture of the paper, the texture of the attire that you are wearing. Just try and feel them. Just focus on that particular aspect. Just 4 things, pick 4, and then just focus on those 4. All right. After that, what you're going to do is focus on 3 things that you can hear, whether it is the noise of the fan, or whether it is the noise of my voice, or whether it is, the outside noise of probably the birds or anything, or the vehicles. I would say refrain from it because it is only going to cause you stress, but anything else, any other noise which sounds pleasant, just focus on 3 things. And really just notice the speed of the voice, or, the speed of the noise that you're getting, the speed of the fan, the rhythm of the fan. Okay. After this, what you're going to do is notice 2 things that you smell, right? Probably your room freshener, or your deodorant, your hairspray, anything for that matter, your moisturizer, anything that you can smell. And then the next one is notice 1 thing that you can taste. 1 thing that you can taste. Probably your morning cup of chai, or whatever you've had for breakfast, or anything for that matter, your mouth freshener, whatever you feel at this point of time. Great. So what we are doing, this activity again is very easy to remember. We can call this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 activity. What we are doing right here in this activity is we are trying to recenter our brain. We are trying to ground ourselves. This is one of the very, very important or widely used techniques to handle stress and anxiety. And also there are a lot of times where you catch yourself thinking 100 things in a minute, right? That is how fast our brain travels, isn't it? We right now, for the past 30 seconds, I have at least had 30 or 35 thoughts while I'm speaking with you. Right? I'm sure all of you who are listening have also had a similar situation where in a minute you have had like 70,000, 80,000 thoughts in your mind, right? But what are you going to act upon? right? How is it that you're going to understand what is the need of the hour? What is it that I need right now? That is what this mindfulness activity does. It is going to recenter us. It is going to get us back into the present moment and ground us. Okay, it's one of the grounding techniques where we are trying to recenter our brain and get our focus back into what is it that we are doing. This again is a very useful tool when you are in your examination halls. Right, you forget your answer. Immediately when you forget your answer, more than recalling what the answer was, you start thinking about when did I read it, which friend spoke about it, did I revise it today? So these are all typical questions which come into your head, right? And they're not going to really help you get the answer. Quickly do this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise and then think about the answer. The probability of you getting the answer is a lot higher. Clear? Now, so far what we have done is to try and understand how is it that as an individual, what is it that I can travel back inside me and do, right? But we also have a lot of information which is existing in the surroundings. We have people around us, we have the environment which is surrounded. So how is it that, what are the aspects am I going to be looking at, or where am I going to get my information from? First is seeking feedback. Taking feedback from your friends, from your faculty, from your colleagues, anyone for that matter. Okay, how, quickly go and ask, how am I doing? Am I doing well? Do I have to do something better? Or, where can I improve? Or, what is it? If it is your friends, how am I doing? Am I being very, am I being a rude person, or am I being unreasonable? Or am I being, where I'm too much into your space? Or what is it? What is it that is, what am I doing wrong? Or what am I doing right for that matter? Seeking feedback, right? Next is there are a lot of standardized tests. A few management students who are there already are aware of MBTI. There is also a test called Enneagram test. There is a DISC personality test and a lot of other emotional intelligence quizzes which are available. So all these aspects give us a very vague idea, although not a very concrete idea, but they give a very vague idea of what kind of person we are or what kind of personality that exists within us. Yeah, and then observing others. Again, a very effective tool. As different as we are from other, we are also a lot similar to each other, right? So when we observe others, when we are looking at others, when we observe others behavior, how is it that what kind of information are we taking? Now, observing others, here is the key. There is a lot of difference between observing one person and judging one person, right? Judging a person is not something we are focusing on right now. That is not something anybody would want to do as well. So observing others, how is it that we are observing other person and what are we learning out of that particular aspect? Yeah, but the key here in all the three aspects is, if I'm asking for a feedback, who am I asking for feedback? Right? Is the person trustworthy? Do I know that the person I'm asking for feedback is somebody who's going to give me an honest review, or is someone who's going to give me an honest answer, right? He's not going to tell good things just to protect my feelings. He shouldn't be somebody who is going to tell things which is only going to bring me down, or which is going to gaslight me, which is going to tell me things which I really, which I don't agree with, right? So what kind of a person, how trustworthy is that person, I'm asking feedback from? That again is the key. Standardized tests, again, see what they do is these tests at this age, once we start fixating on these standardized tests, what happens is subconsciously it affects our behavior as well, right? A simple example is, all of us like horoscope, right? We love reading what does the day have in store for me. So what is it that the next month is going to be? So our sun signs, for example. So what they do is they subconsciously, they say, be careful, this week you might have a conflict with your loved one, or you might have some kind of profit in your business, or anything for that matter. So all these things, what they do is they subconsciously get into our head, and then they are going to influence our behavior, right? So these standardized tests, again, it's a little tricky. So what we have to do is just try and understand the aspects of ourselves which we actually know for sure that are true. All right. Observing others, again, the key is to observe people and not to judge them. Clear? Okay. Now we look at the fourth element of emotional intelligence, which is empathy. Can we have somebody who tells us what is empathy? Anybody who has an understanding of what empathy is? Anyone? Okay. Okay. All right. Nobody is replying. I understand it's morning. It's a midweek and it's all lockdown. All of us are just too, we're just too tired or we're just too exhausted to even give a reply. Right? Okay. One reply. Great. Being there for somebody when they feel sad. Okay. Perfect. Great. So empathy, what it actually means is, where you are trying to understand a opposite person's point of view, right? If you just notice what I did here, I was speaking about, all of you are tired or all of you are exhausted. What I'm trying to do is trying to understand your perspective, trying to understand things from your point of view, right? That is exactly what empathy means. Okay, so what it speaks about is sensing others' feelings and perspectives, taking an active interest in their concerns, right? Understanding others. This basically means that I am trying to put myself into some other person's point, into his shoes and trying to understand how does it feel to be that person, right? So how is it, if I am in that person's place, how does it feel? That is exactly what empathy is. Empathy is something which is the need of the hour, which is something all of us are too busy in, all the other aspects of life where we have actually lost touch with our empathetical part. This is not something which we need to really acquire or which we need to work hard on acquiring. All of us have it. It's just that we have lost touch with it at this point of time because over time there are a lot of other things which we are focusing on. Right? But this again plays a very, very important role in all our communications, in all our professional and our personal life as well. Clear? So it is about understanding others. Once you understand others, what do? Go ahead and be a part of their growth, right? Try and develop others. That is what empathy speaks about. Now, what are the few ways that I could develop empathy? I understand empathy. I know that I could be an empathetic person, but how am I going to do that? How is it that I'm going to, at every situation, how is it that I'm going to catch myself and say, be empathetic, right? So there are a few things that we could do on a regular basis or on a timely basis to really go ahead and increase our empathy towards other people. Challenging ourselves, trying out new things, anything for that matter, whether it is a new skill that you want to look at or, meeting new people or something which is pushing us a little out of our comfort zone. So what we are trying to do here when we challenge ourselves is firstly, we get more humble, right? We understand that, okay, great. I tried something and I'm not really good at it. I'm still a beginner. Right? So immediately the next thought is, but I'm also good at a lot of things. I do a lot of things really well. Correct? Similarly, when you see others, there are also everybody around you. There are some things which they're really good at. There are some things which they are beginners at, right? Which they're still learning. So when you do things like this, what happens is you immediately understand how it is to be a newcomer or how it is to be a beginner or an amateur in whatever skill that you are doing. So it brings in the aspect of humility in us. Yeah. Next is exploring new places and cultures. Yes, given the current situation, we cannot really go out and travel, but that is not the only way to get in touch with new people or get in touch with new places and cultures, right? So there are a lot of media also which is available, which exposes us to new cultures or which gives us new places, which gives us exposure into new places. So what I'm trying is, when I'm exposing myself to new cultures or exposing myself to new languages, right? Languages is something which is really underrated. Trying to learn a new language or trying to understand a new culture, it always makes us more open-minded. It always makes us understand what is it that the other person is trying to say. So what we are doing here is we are trying and working on understanding the other person. So that is how we build on our empathy. Next is examining our biases. As human beings, all of us have biases. We all have a certain kind of people we like, a certain kind of people we don't like. We have a certain kind of food that we like, a certain kind of food we don't like, right? So how is it that I am going to try and examine them, try and understand what is it that I don't like in this particular thing? What is it that I don't like in this particular situation, right? And the next aspect is not making assumptions. Yes, very, very simple. Because there are things which are there in front of you, you have a visual proof of it. Until then, let's not make assumptions about people, or let's not make assumptions about situations as well. We're getting too much into people, but let's not make assumptions about situations or anything for that matter, right? Let us be sure of whatever information we are taking into our head. That is what it speaks about. Okay, one more thing what we can do is listening. Yeah, I know all of you are listening to me. I know all of you can hear me, whoever is logged in, right? But how many of you are actually listening? How many of you are actually letting those things into your head, right? So there is an aspect called active listening. What it means is when you are listening something, you need to take it into your head and process it while you are listening. Yeah. So how focused are you? How open-minded are you? That is what active listening speaks about, right? Again, you can choose whom you have to actively listen. You can choose whom you have to passively listen, right? But again, when you are listening actively, that is when you actually go ahead and make that connection with your customers or with your clients or with your friends or anybody for that matter, whether it is your professional or your personal life. Validate their emotions. When somebody said, being there for someone when they are sad, it's very easy to say, no, it's not a big deal, right? But that's not really helpful for you. That's not really helpful for the other person as well. When somebody is feeling low or when somebody is feeling anything for that matter, the first thing they need to hear is you're right. Correct? So that is how you validate their emotions, and that is one of the major factors in developing empathy. Asking questions. So when somebody is talking to you and when you ask questions, that is when they know that you're actually listening and you're just not sitting there and looking at their face, but your brain is somewhere else. Right? These are a few things that you can do. Paraphrasing. What paraphrasing means is when I speak a sentence, you again go ahead and repeat that sentence and then try and understand if what I have told you is what you have understood as well. Right? So what it helps you do is it helps the person speaking to you understand that, okay, this person is actually listening to me. He's not just hearing me. He's not just doing it because he has to do it. He is actually listening to me. That is what active listening speaks about. Okay. Okay, great. So we're coming to the end of the session. Now what we have learned so far is self-awareness, self-management, empathy, and our self-awareness, empathy. One moment. Okay, great. Sorry for that. So what we have learned so far is the 4 elements of emotional intelligence, which is self-awareness, empathy, self-motivation, and self-regulation. Now, how is it that I'm going to use all this, and how is it that I'm going to drive myself as an individual into becoming a valuable member of the society is what we are, we're going to take back with this particular session. Okay, I guess I'm back. Okay. Well, I'm sorry, guys. There was a small interruption in the connection. Okay. So the final aspect of emotional intelligence speaks about social skills. What exactly is social skills? These are, again, communication skills, our leadership skills, our change management, team management, conflict management. All this is something we have heard probably for n number of years. So what we are going to take out of this session is how is it that after being self-aware, after being able to manage my emotions and drive it in the right thought, drive it in the right direction, how is it that I'm going to become a valuable member of the society? How is it that I'm going to become a valuable member in my organization to people around me is what exactly social skills speaks about, right? To form efficient relationship or to form efficient professional relationship or to be a valuable member to people around me. That is exactly what social skills is. All right. So how is it that these 4 emotions or these 4 elements of emotional intelligence play, and how is it that they are helping us becoming a valuable member of the society is what we're going to take back with this session. So with that, we are coming to the end of the session, guys. I hope it was worthwhile. So I think we can quickly jump into the question and answers. If anybody has any questions or any clarity which is required. I think you can type in the questions in the question and answer box or in the chat session. Either things will do. Okay, I don't think there are any questions. So I think we can, I would hand it over to the technical team. Thank you guys. Thank you for logging in. I hope the session is triggered some amount of thought process in your head. I hope it has helped you to some extent. You know, it is at least triggered some amount of thought for you to go ahead and work on yourselves, or go ahead and utilize the time which is existing at this point of time. Because there is nothing certain at this point of time. We don't know when what is going to happen, you know, when things are going to resume back to normal. All we are certain about is our abilities and our understanding of things around us. So let us focus on that while we wait out the pandemic which is happening, while we wait out to, let us make this time more bearable by focusing on our ourselves and our goals. Thank you guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. It was really an interesting session. We have come to the end of the webinar. Before winding up, I would like to inform our participant mails after 24 hours of the webinar to your registered mail IDs. After submission of the feedback form, e-certificates will be issued. It's my pleasure to convey a vote of thanks on behalf of the Department of Commerce and Management, AMC College. Firstly, I would like to thank our guest speaker, Ms. Kritika Raj ma'am, for gracing the occasion and sharing your immense knowledge. Thank you very much, ma'am. I would also like to thank Mr. Rahul Kalluri sir, Executive Vice President, AMC City Group of Institutions, and all the members of the management for their great support in organizing this webinar. I also thank Dr. Prakash Duvuri sir, Principal, and Dr. James Thomas sir, HOD, Department of Commerce and Management, for being the catalyst that stipulated us to do our best in this webinar. Thank you, sir. I'm also thankful to
Thank you,
Mr.
madam.
Ranjan Naralasheti, Department of Commerce and Management, AMC College, and Mr. Mastak sir from AMC Engineering College for their kind cooperation in helping us with all the technicalities in conducting this smooth webinar. I extend my thanks to all the faculties of AMC College. My sincere thanks to all the participants. Thank you very much.
Thank you.